The recording starts with a sound no toddler should be able to make. And Jessica knows this right away because she's been a kindergarten teacher for 9 years, has heard every type of giggle and whine and baby talk that a 2-year-old can produce. And this is nothing like any of those. It's not crying, not even close to the tears kids use when they want attention. It's not baby talk, not those cute mama or dada sounds parents love to hear. It's not singing, not humming, not any of the sweet noises a sleeping child makes. It's a voice, a grown woman's voice, clear and calm, coming out smooth like it's traveling from somewhere else, like a recording playing from another room, with a tone that shouldn't be possible from such a small body, from a throat that's barely learned to speak in full sentences. And it's saying something, words that Jessica had whispered earlier that day when she tucked her daughter in for a nap, words she said quietly while stroking her hair. "Don't worry, Lily. Mommy's here." The voice is coming from the little girl. Jessica can see it on her phone screen, can see Lily's mouth moving in that weird way, making shapes that look wrong on a child's face, creating sounds that belong to someone much older. But the voice doesn't belong to Lily, doesn't belong to anyone Jessica knows, doesn't belong anywhere in this apartment. Her phone, trembling in her grip, shows Lily sitting straight up in her bed at 11:34 p.m., wide awake when she should be fast asleep, her eyes open and locked on the hallway door that's slightly open. Nothing in that room should have been able to move. 3 days earlier, everything had seemed totally normal, or at least as normal as life can be when you're a single mom working from home and raising a toddler in a small apartment in Seattle. Jessica is 31, has been teaching online classes since Lily was born, and she's gotten pretty good at juggling both jobs, patient and organized and used to handling things on her own. The apartment isn't big, just a 2-bedroom on the 3rd floor of an older building in Capitol Hill, one of those places where the walls are thin and you can hear your neighbors walking around upstairs, where the heating pipes make weird noises at night and the windows rattle when it's windy. She's lived here for 4 years, moved in when she was pregnant and needed something affordable close to work. And even though it's not fancy, it's home. It's safe. It's where she's raising her daughter. Lily is 2.5, just starting to talk in full sentences, still learning new words every day. And lately she's been going through that phase where she copies everything Jessica says, repeating words and phrases she hears mimicking the way Jessica talks on the phone or sings along to music. It's cute, mostly, the way toddlers are cute when they're learning, but something about it has started to feel different lately, started to feel less like innocent copying and more like something else, something Jessica can't quite name. But something in their home felt slightly off. It starts on a Tuesday afternoon, right after Jessica finishes teaching her 2nd class of the day and goes to check on Lily, who's been playing quietly in her room for the past 20 minutes, which is unusual because Lily is not a quiet kid. She's loud and energetic and always making some kind of noise. Jessica walks down the short hallway to Lily's room and pushes open the door, expecting to find her daughter surrounded by toys or coloring books. But instead, Lily is standing in the middle of the room, perfectly still, facing the corner where her toy chest sits, just standing there, staring. Jessica says her name and Lily doesn't respond at first, doesn't even blink. And for a second, Jessica feels her heart speed up, that instant parent panic that something's wrong. Then Lily turns around slowly, and she's smiling, but it's not her normal smile. It's too calm, too knowing for a 2-year-old. "Hi, Mommy," she says, but the way she says it sounds off, sounds like she's copying someone else's way of talking, someone Jessica doesn't recognize. Over the next 2 days, it keeps happening. Lily stands facing that corner, sometimes for 5 minutes, sometimes longer, and when Jessica asks what she's looking at, Lily just says, "the lady," in that same weird voice, that voice that doesn't sound quite like hers. Jessica checks the corner every time, looks for anything that might catch a toddler's attention, but there's nothing there, just the toy chest and the wall and a small crack in the paint. And then it happened again, only louder. On Thursday night, Jessica puts Lily to bed at her normal time, 8 o'clock, following their usual routine of bath time and 2 storybooks and a lullaby Jessica's own mother used to sing to her. And Lily seems fine, seems like her regular self, chattering about her day and asking for water and hugging her stuffed rabbit. Jessica leaves the bedroom door open just a crack the way Lily likes it, with the hallway light on so it's not too dark, and she goes back to the living room to finish grading papers and maybe watch something on Netflix before bed. Around 11:30, she's half asleep on the couch when she hears it. Lily's voice, but not crying, not calling for her, just talking. Full sentences, clear words, having a conversation with someone. Jessica sits up fast, her papers sliding off her lap onto the floor, and listens hard. The voice continues, and she can make out some of the words now. Yes. Okay. I will. Jessica gets up and walks quietly down the hallway, her socks silent on the carpet, and when she reaches Lily's door, she stops and listens from outside. Lily is definitely talking to someone, her voice going back and forth like she's responding to questions, but there's no other voice, no sound of anyone else in the room. Jessica pushes the door open wider and looks inside. Lily is sitting up in bed, facing that same corner again, that same corner she's been staring at for days, and she's having a full conversation with empty air. And the footage didn't match what Emily was seeing. The next morning, after Lily wakes up acting completely normal and doesn't remember talking in the night at all, Jessica decides to set up her phone as a camera in Lily's room that night, propping it up on the dresser with a clear view of the bed and that corner, just to see what's actually happening, to prove to herself that she's not imagining things or overreacting. She downloads a recording app that can film all night and uses an old phone charger so the battery won't die. That night, Friday, she goes through the regular bedtime routine again, kisses Lily goodnight, and secretly starts the recording before leaving the room. She tries to stay awake to watch the live view on her laptop, but around midnight she dozes off on the couch, and when she wakes up at 6 a.m. with a stiff neck and her laptop battery dead, the first thing she does is grab her phone from Lily's room and check the recording. There are hours of footage. She fast-forwards through most of it, watching Lily sleep peacefully, nothing unusual, and she's about to give up and delete the whole thing, when something at the 3:47 a.m. mark makes her stop. Lily sits up in bed. Not the slow, groggy way kids usually wake up, but suddenly, like someone flipped a switch. And she starts talking. Jessica turns the volume up all the way and listens. It's Lily's voice at first, saying okay and yes like she's answering questions. But then something changes. The voice coming out of Lily's mouth isn't hers anymore. It's deeper, older. It's Jessica's voice, her exact voice, saying words Jessica never said. Don't be scared, baby. I'm right here with you. At the 0041 mark, something shifts. Jessica spends Saturday trying to figure out what the hell is going on, because there has to be a logical explanation, right? Something that makes sense without being scary. Maybe Lily heard her say those words before and is just repeating them from memory, even though Jessica is absolutely sure she's never said that exact phrase. Maybe it's some weird echo in the apartment, sound bouncing off the walls in strange ways because the building is old and the acoustics are weird. She Googles toddler copying parent's voice perfectly and finds articles about how kids are amazing mimics, how they can reproduce sounds and tones with surprising accuracy. But nothing that explains how a 2-year-old could sound exactly like an adult, with perfect clarity and no childish lisp or mispronunciation. She calls her sister, the one person she trusts not to think she's crazy, and tries to explain what she heard on the recording, but even as she's saying it out loud, it sounds ridiculous, impossible, like something from a movie. Her sister suggests maybe she should take Lily to the pediatrician, make sure nothing's wrong medically, and Jessica agrees even though she knows this isn't a medical problem. This is something else entirely. She watches the recording again and again, and each time it gets worse. Each time the wrongness of hearing her own voice coming from her daughter's mouth makes her skin crawl. But the timeline didn't make sense. On Sunday night, Jessica can't help herself and sets up the phone to record again, This time, angling it slightly different to get a better view of that corner Lily keeps staring at, even though part of her doesn't want to know what the camera might catch, doesn't want confirmation that something really is wrong. She stays awake this time, laptop open, watching the live view from her phone, and for the first 2 hours, nothing happens. Lily sleeps normally. The room is quiet. Jessica almost closes her laptop and goes to bed. Then, at exactly 1:52 a.m., Lily sits up. Jessica leans forward, watching intently. Lily's eyes are open but unfocused, that sleepwalking look, and she turns her head toward the corner, toward the toy chest and the wall. And then something appears in the corner. Not clearly, not like a person standing there, but more like a shadow that's darker than the other shadows, more solid, shaped almost like a woman. Jessica's breath catches. The shadow doesn't move, just stays there in the corner, and Lily is staring directly at it. And then Lily opens her mouth, and Jessica's voice comes out, clear and perfect. "I've been waiting for you. I've been here all along." The shadow seems to shift closer to the bed, and Jessica is about to run into the room, about to grab her daughter and get out of this apartment, when the recording suddenly stops. The phone battery dying, even though it was plugged in, even though it should have lasted all night. What he reached for is still unknown. Monday morning, Jessica wakes up on the couch where she fell asleep after the recording cut out, sunlight streaming through the windows, and for a second she thinks maybe she dreamed the whole thing. Maybe exhaustion and stress made her see things that weren't there. Then she remembers and jumps up, runs down the hallway to Lily's room, pushes open the door, expecting the worst, but Lily is in her bed, sleeping peacefully, looking completely normal, her stuffed rabbit tucked under her arm. Jessica sits on the edge of the bed and watches her daughter breathe, watches her chest rise and fall, and tries to decide what to do, whether to pack their bags and leave, whether to call someone for help, whether she's losing her mind. Lily wakes up a few minutes later, opens her eyes and smiles that sweet toddler smile, says "Hi, Mommy" in her normal voice, and asks for breakfast. Everything seems fine. Everything seems normal. But when Jessica is making pancakes and Lily is sitting at the kitchen table coloring, she asks casually, trying to keep her voice light, "Lily, sweetie, who do you talk to at night?" Lily looks up from her crayons, and without any hesitation, without any hint that this is a strange question, she says something that makes Jessica's blood run cold. The sad lady. She says she used to live here. She says she misses her little girl. Who? Jessica doesn't sleep in the apartment that night, packs a bag for them both, and drives to her sister's house across town, telling her sister there's a plumbing emergency and they need to crash for a few days, not mentioning the recordings, or the shadow, or what Lily said about the sad lady. But she can't stop thinking about it, can't stop wondering if she should break her lease and move out completely, or if she's overreacting to something that might have a normal explanation she just hasn't thought of yet. On Tuesday, while Lily is at daycare, Jessica goes back to the apartment alone and does something she probably should have done weeks ago. She Googles the address, searches for any history or previous tenants or incidents that might explain what's happening. What she finds in old news archives makes her wish she'd never looked. 8 years ago, a woman named Rebecca Chen lived in this same apartment with her 3-year-old daughter. One night, Rebecca left her daughter alone for just 20 minutes to run to the corner store, and when she came back, the little girl was gone. Disappeared. The apartment door was still locked from the inside. The windows were closed. There was no sign of a break-in. They never found the child. Rebecca claimed she heard her daughter's voice calling for her weeks afterwards, said she saw her in the corners of rooms, but everyone assumed it was grief and guilt making her hallucinate. Rebecca moved out 2 months later and, according to a follow-up article, took her own life 6 months after that. Their home hasn't felt the same since. 2 months have passed, and Jessica and Lily are living in a new apartment on the other side of Seattle, a bright, modern place with big windows and thin walls where you can hear neighbors laughing and music playing, the kind of normal sounds that make a space feel alive and safe. Lily hasn't mentioned the sad lady since they moved, hasn't stood staring at corners, hasn't spoken in that wrong voice that sounded too much like Jessica's. Everything seems back to normal, seems fine. And most days, Jessica can almost convince herself that maybe it really was nothing. Maybe it was stress or bad dreams or some weird phase that toddlers go through that nobody talks about. But late at night, when Lily is asleep and the apartment is quiet, Jessica sometimes thinks about that recording, about the shadow in the corner, about Rebecca Chen and her missing daughter, and she wonders if they're still there in that old apartment, if the next tenant will hear voices in the night, if some places just hold on to sadness and loss in ways we can't see or understand. She wonders if Lily really was talking to someone, if that sad lady found a way to connect with another little girl because she missed her own so much, and if leaving was enough to break whatever connection had formed, or if some part of it will always be with them. She doesn't have answers, probably never will, and she's trying to be okay with that, trying to focus on the present instead of the past. Sometimes the quiet moments are the loudest. If you've ever wondered what your own home might be hiding, share your thoughts below. And for more real-life quiet incidents, consider subscribing.